Wondering what to write. With his mind, he blooms ideas, having an enchanting pencil in his hand, which could scribble out many different alphabets and creating vibrant imageries. He's actually struggling to find the perfect plot. Students, do you know it has a beginning, middle, and an end? Can you guess what it is? Yes, you are right. This is story writing. You all are welcome to your virtual classroom. So, today we'll be learning a very important yet an enthralling topic, that is story writing, which you have been hearing since ages. I want to start this topic with a quote. Story weaves in the heart of reader like beads in a rosary. In a rosary, the beads are taken together to create it. Similarly, the different incidents and the different characters amalgamate to weave a story in our heart and take us to yet another beautiful and alluring world. Okay, now you can see a visual wherein the word story is having different characters in its alphabets. S is like a mechanic who's actually using its machine of setting the plot in such a way that everybody would be familiar with it. Next, T. Talking characters. Obviously, a story can never be an enthralling one. It would be very monotonous if it would just be a narration. So, it should have talking characters to make us feel enthralled and connected. Next, O. O is here. Oops, a problem. He's always perplexed. He's always having a problem which he wants everybody to resolve. So he's having a friend R who's actually stepping forward and attempting to resolve it. And next, they all come together to say cheers. You know why do they say cheers? When the problem is solved, they all are elated. So here's the recipe that they want to share with us for a perfect story. There are hint of dialogues, imageries, sprinkle of suspense to sprinkle it and make it more interesting. Next, there is a rainbow that comes after the rain, that comes after the storm as a surprise ending. Next, there are plethora of dialogues to engage us. Also, we should never forget to use the past tense. So, as I told you that the imagery plays a very vital role to create that in our heart, to create the story in our mind, to create the image in our mind. So here are some imageries. Children, whenever you are listening this imagery, kindly close your eyes and try to weave that in your mind. Burly looking man with a fleshy scar on his cheek. So here you can understand that there's a burly looking man who's not at all beautiful and he's having fleshy scar on his cheeks. That means he's somewhat dangerous. Next, impenetrably dark sky like a charcoal. So here I am describing the darkness that is as black as a charcoal. A girl with rosy cheeks and snowy face. A beautiful girl who's actually a good protagonist, who's good and having a positive attitude. That is why she's looking so beautiful. Ferny floor and starry sky, which means that the floor is full of ferns and sky is actually twinkling with the stars. Yet, like a forest, as you can say, it must be a forest which is very open. We can see the stars and also the grasses, the ferns have overgrown. So, as I told you, here is my recipe of the perfect story. The ingredients are as follows. Hint of imagery. Definitely there should be vivid imageries. Sprinkle of suspense. Why not? Suspense will make us feel attracted towards the plot. Rainbow of surprise ending to make us surprised at the end. Plethora of dialogues to keep us engaged. And definitely use of past tense. So there's a 5-hand rule that I'll be sharing with you, that are the 5 essential elements of a story. If you want your story to be read by many people and they should eulogize you for the same, so these things are to be kept in mind while writing a story. Characters. The characters are the individual that the story is all about. The author, that means you, should introduce the characters in the story with enough information. That means you should give enough information that the reader can visualize. Visualize in order to create the picture of that person in his own mind. And this can only be achieved by providing detailed analysis and description of a character's physical attributes as well as the personality traits. Every story should have a main character, and the main character determines the way the plot will develop and is usually who will solve the problem the story centers upon. However, the other characters are also very important because they supply additional details, explanations. All the characters should stay true to the author's descriptions throughout the story so that the reader would not be feeling ambiguous, would not be feeling perplexed, and he could understand and believe that the action is taking place, and perhaps he can even predict, he can even think about the future, that what the character may do. Like, you can see a girl here. If I need to describe her, I can simply say brown waves falling over her face, twinkling eyes, having rimmed spectacles. So you can easily visualize the girl in your mind. Setting of the plot is very important. Setting is the location of the action. An author, that means you, should describe the environment or the surroundings of the story in such detail that the reader feels that he or she can picture that scene. Unusual settings can be interesting, but everyday settings can help a reader to better visualize the story, and he can even feel connected to that plot. So, as you can see in this picture, you can say that the sun is setting and the purple and the orange glow has enveloped the sky. The shade of the trees are falling in the river, and the boat is still in the still water. So see how I describe that. This is how you need to set the plot. Important. So we have a story mountain here. Background. This should include the introduction of the characters and setting. Then we'll move towards the rising action, which would be the events that would be leading up to the main problem or the conflict. Then we would reach the zenith. That means when the problem reaches to the highest point. After that, there will be a falling action. This is when the characters work out, they work together to solve the problem or conflict. And in the end, when there is cheers, I told you, this is how things end up in the story. It should always be a happy ending. The plot is the actual story around which the entire story and the entire incidents are based. A plot should have a very clear beginning, middle, and end. with all the necessary descriptions and suspense called exposition, so that the reader can make sense of the action and follow along from start to the finish. Oh, how can a story not have a conflict? Obviously, if we want a happy ending, we should definitely have a problematic starting. Every story has a conflict to solve. The plot is centered on this conflict and the ways in which the characters they actually make attempts to resolve the problem. This is how the conflicts would merge up. When the story's actions become most exciting right after the resolution, it is called climax. As you can see, the argument should be there. There should be some conflict. A story can never end without a happy ending. To have an ecstatic ending, we should definitely resolve that problem. How will the story end up then? So, it's very important to resolve it, whether taking suitable actions or cooking up suspense, having surprise ending, but definitely the problem that was arisen in the starting should be resolved by the end. So, students, I hope all these recipes would help you to cook a definite and a beautiful story for yourself. Thank you.